I remember when the knowing no was not heeded in my own life. I worked in a bakery after high school in a small town in southern Ohio. And one day a young black girl entered the shop and asked to apply for a job at the counter. I went to the back of the shop where the owner was baking and inquired as to the whereabouts of the application forms. And the owner directed me the forms, and I proceeded to have the student complete the application. She left, and I returned the form back to the baker, met me with a very strange smile, and motioned, "I'll just put it in file 13. I naively went into the office looking for such a file. Unable to find it, I returned to the baking area to howls of laughter from the table of bakers that were all doubling over as the owner blurted out, "File 13 is the trash basket, Danielle." My naivete and sincerity must have been disarming as I stood there in silence and didn't get it. And I asked, "Why? Why?" The owner looked at me incredulously and responded, "Well, she's black, isn't she?" "Well, yes," I stammered. At this, the owner smiled, placed a gentle hand upon my now stiffening shoulders, and said, "You see, it's just that she's black, and no one would want her touching our donuts, and sales would go down. Someday you're going to understand." Well, I didn't understand then, and I don't understand now. What I do understand is how the fear of the power of the no gives way to cowardice and oppression. I continued to work at Schuler's Bakery in Springfield, Ohio, but I never again felt completely comfortable. Unable to say no and stand up to the powers that were in that little shop may have been the predictable act of a young, accommodating schoolgirl, but it was the failure to be true to the knowing no that was growing in my own human heart. My desire to please, to be accepted, was greater than my strength to speak truth to power, at that time anyway. Years later, my more grounded no, I reported the bakery for their continued acts of discrimination, and the holy yes began to emerge. And that is our challenge, to know the no's in our life, and in knowing the no's, to let it be transformed into the power of the yes in the everyday, ordinary moments as we go about our lives. Remembering, no is never enough. As emotional and spiritual beings, the no is just the beginning. Clearly, in the Judeo-Christian traditions, we move into the yes when we are mindful that we are called to a yes, to know that which is just and right, to say yes to joy, as the Christmas angel spoke of joy that is brought to us in the birth of Christ, the messenger of love to a broken world, a promise for the peace that passeth understanding, the yes to maintain hope for a kinder kingdom. As the scripture speaks, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you his kingdom." We also are invited to say a no so that we can say a yes to eternal life. No to death as we know it is offered in the promise of life. Yeses from the freedom of death itself. As people of faith, we are called to be grounded in the know that we can be free to surrender to this life-transforming power of yes. Some may see it as a natural labor of the dark night of the no to the resounding yes of light and faith. It is the movement from the no's to the yeses in which we come again and again and again to the table of life. In the yes, we are born again. Whatever tradition, one is challenged to be truthful to the no's and to embrace the yeses, lest one lives one's life always hedging the bets. Always hedging our bets in life that somehow there we can know something perfectly, and we don't have to risk it all. And we end up living in this gray middle zone in which the great religious spiritual life is ultimately abandoned, left impoverished and weak. So, in respect for the great traditions, the tradition of Christianity, of love and of joy, the great tradition of Judaism that says yes to justice, we must remember, where are those yeses that are being asked of us? I think of the words of the Canadian theologian Gregory Vlastos when he said, "There is no escape. You must say yes or no to the light that you have seen. There are 1,000 ways to say no. One way to say yes, and no way of saying anything else. It is a tremendous decision." It is the ultimate decision to which we are called as people of faith. If we can but say yes, despite the many times in which we abandoned the knowing no, but it was the only true response, or shrivel from the responsibility of the resounding yes, then we have the opportunity to live the poet's words of all that is lifted from the no, of all that is natural, which is infinite, which can become a yes. That's the point. The spiritual life is truly possible. May we find a way to say yes to our own light, yes to love, yes to justice, yes to a transformative knowing in the power of the heart's forgiveness of ourselves and each other. For is not this what all religious traditions ask of us? And in so doing, to find the yes, again the yes, again the yes. Knowing the no, the courage to surrender to that resounding yes. Come, come, we said. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Come, though you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, yet come again. Know the knowing no, and come again into the resounding